And today we will be doing a poem for Martha Karua. Martha Karua is a Kenyan politician. She's regarded as a strong woman, sharp, tough-talking Kenyan political lady who does not compromise when it comes to fighting for women's rights. She is a women's activist. She is also a member of the parliament. She was a member of the National Assembly. She also is an advocate for the High Court of Kenya. She is highly educated, brave, courageous, and a powerful woman.
She was also one of the first women to join the parliament, and later at a young age, she was elected to join the multi-party of politics. She is smart, tough, and courageous, and together will fight with Kenyan men politically.
You have empowered young girls like me and Kenyans to be strong and fight for their rights. We honor you and may the Lord continue to bless you. 3, 2,
Roses are red, violets are blue, sugar is sweet, and so are you, Martha Karua.
Perfect. This is an open thing, and I'll be out of the. Give me the point. I'll be out of my picture very shortly because I'm just doing this as a father of the house, and I'll turn it quickly to be a community. I don't want anybody to think this is Patrick KCC, but of course, being the man of the house, I wanted to do a few things and invite you so that I'll translate shortly to our two moderators. That's where they are there. They are not bodyguards. Mother has no problem with the security, but they are wonderful ladies, wonderful, strong ladies in this community who are gonna take us through after we have done this part of it. Let me randomly ask this question, and I will have Mike to have this. If anybody was asked about Mother Karua, what comes out of your mind? Let's start with an elder lady here, Apostle Teresa. When somebody talks, what do you know about her? Wala wamejua from your heart. Who is Mother to understand that so that we know?
Yeah, when I hear that name, I just think about her truthfulness. I like the way she's a strong woman, and she's a fighter for the human rights, and she will stand her ground. It doesn't matter who she faces. She stands her grounds for the truth.
Wow.
That's how I see her.
By the way, anybody from Kirinyaga? Sam, I know your neighbor. Come on. What do you think about this lady from your... Yes? Iron lady. Yeah, naona ngumi. Okay. Anybody else from the forum would like, yes, give that mic to that lady. When you hear Mother, who is she to you?
Yes, I'm from Kirinyaga, and she was our member of parliament, an inspiration, and we are so proud of her, and we are inspired.
What is your Ageshagi so that she knows the connection? Kirinyaga where?
Kirinyaga, I'm actually her neighbor. She may not know me. I'm from Kimunye.
Kimunye. You know the lady who came to get milk from your house? Yeah. Kimunye. They are Munya Mahua. Anybody? Yes?
I think I've admired Malta for many years. I think the thing that comes to mind straight away is the 1990s and 1992 before we got to the multi-party democracy. The likes of Gitobi Manyara, yourself, and others is still etched in our minds, and what you guys did to bring multipartyism to Kenya. That's what comes to my mind every time I see your image.
Perfect. Anybody else? What do you... Yes, at the back there. Yes, with the glasses.
Thank you. For me, first of all, it's a great honor for you to be here with us today. We have always admired you as a great leader, and we know our country is like a sea of bad, you know. And in the process, and what we have seen consistently with you, when every politician is playing poker, you're the only politician playing chess. You play by the rules. You are consistent, and we value you for that. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else who? Yes, the two, Chege and Mogedi, yes.
When I think of Martha, I feel sad because I feel that this is a person who has come on the scene and on the stage almost before her time. So anytime I think of her, I feel the sadness of what the Kenyans, of the opportunity the Kenyans have lost, and it is so sad that they don't even recognize it. So my prayer is that before long, we can seize the moment and have somebody like Martha that may not come on the scene again for a long time. It is sadness.
He has talked in Proverbs, and it is deep. Yes, Mogendi.
Thank you. When I look at Mother, I see an opportunity for young ladies who can be modeled and molded in the same sculpture that you have come from. And looking at the landscape of politics in Kenya today and putting math together, I do see that Mother might not be the president that Kenyans would wish for. I would wish that Mother would be the person that molds another mother of her caliber to the young generation, because right now, the politics in Kenya, I don't see them giving her a chance.
You don't see.
Yes.
Okay.
Sadly.
Okay.
Sadly.
Sadly. Yeah, then one, two more, and then I'll switch to, because we will have a moment of questions when we have the moderators, but yes, Dogoiro.
Yes, when I see Mother, I started seeing Mother in the 90s when I was an intern at Kenya Human Rights Commission under Minor K, and I followed you all along. When I look at you, I see integrity, resilience, and the ability to speak truth to power, including as recently as 2 weeks ago when you went for Betty Mronge's mother's funeral. We follow you from here. Thank you, and keep it up.
Yes, Mary. We need women. We don't have a lot of ladies talking. Yes, Alice, after you. Yes.
Yeah, I love the way you are so principled and you stand for justice and the truth. I would have no problem voting for you as my president.
Yes. She has no problem voting you as our president. And she's still young, right? Kama huyu mzee wa huko ana miaka ngapi? Hiyo 80s. She's still a young girl. We have trust and hope. Yes, Dogoiro, Mwalimu.
Thank you very much. When I see Mother, I remember the role of the legal fraternity, the lawyers in Kenya, GBM, Kariuki, people like Rimodoga, the people who were being beaten in Kiambu. I remember there was, in 1991, there was people who were being beaten up in Kiambu, at Kiambu law courts. And I happened to be in town that time. So the work is already cut out for all lawyers or people who believe in Kenya that's going to be a Kenya where the rule of law will be accepted as the norm. And I remember those days when people stood up, people like Waboy Otieno were being beaten up in Kiambu town. And I hope those days are coming to a close, where people are not going to be beaten up because of speaking out for what is right for the community.
Thank you so much. Any other lady? Hakuna lady? Yeah, I want to hear more ladies. Yes, yes. Give the ladies now, because we've had, yeah, Alice Dogo. There's Alice here. Hello? No. I said Alice. She has had her hand forever, and she's my mother. I don't want trouble. Yes.
Thank you so much. When I see Martha,
you see yourself.
I see myself in you. She is no nonsense. She can fight anything and everything.
And
even if it means just being by herself, she will do it. I join you.
we'll fight together.
Don't worry, be careful. Don't worry. Some other ladies, yes, there at the back.
Hello. When I see Honorable Mother, I remember as a young teenager when she first vied for MP of Gishogo. I think you are 26 years old or something, the youngest MP, and how you motivated me to love current affairs and how you have stood your word, and especially the time during the Kibaki government when you stood your word and you walked away because you believed your truth. I see a woman of integrity who Kenya needs now.
Now. Not tomorrow. Now. Yes.
When I see Honorable Martha, I see hope. And I see a light at the end of the tunnel. We have hope. We stand with you.
Whoa, okay. Finally, there, and then I will tell you what, so that you can hear from. It's always good when you go to a place to know what people think of you. Now, as she talks, and then later on, we'll turn it to the moderators for questions. These are just comments, what you think about her. Yes, there's a young person over there. Go ahead and talk. Then I'll invite Muhesh. Yes.
Yes, when I see Honorable Martha Karua, I see the purest form of Kenyan spirit. I think it is your time to narrow down the gap that we have seen of a scam of a country that is unrepresented. We have seen the molesting of the rule of law, but now, Martha Karua, this is your time. Keep the focus. Let's see you taking the leadership and taking Kenya forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We are so happy for that. I just wanted those few comments. I know later on, David will be coming later to talk about what he thinks for us as people of diaspora, what to expect. We've had some meetings, and I know he'll do that. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't want to hijack this. It's 3:20, and it would be good for us to hear from our guest. She'll tell us about the book she has written, and I hope you have gotten that book. If you have not, she is signing, and there are people already have the books without making lots of noise. Kate has some books there. This is the station where we have some book. Shiro Murata has a book here. If you need it, she's going to sign it, and it will be good. I'll say this on my own behalf. People don't know there's a side of me, but there's a side of me. But hope this is online, right? We are talking to the people, right? Yes, thank you so much. Let me tell you, I'll say it again. I have done the origin for 25 years. Anybody who tells you politics dirty, it's people who make politics dirty. There's nothing wrong involving matters of politics. I don't know whether we have any political scientists here. What is politics? Politics is policies. Is what? It's the decision people take. When the leaders make decisions, they affect you as an individual. They decide the price of food. They decide how much you have to pay for school. They decide about taxes. They decide all these things. So this is a calling. And God allows people to serve as politicians so that they may serve humanity. And on behalf of this community, Madam Mother, we really thank you. We are here a few years ago when we had our cultural setup. You encouraged us. And we are here to welcome here in Atlanta. Feel at home. She came last night, and I think she'll tell us how she has felt. So what I want to do is to honor her. We are going to clap hands, stand, welcome her. She'll speak. The minute she speaks about the book and about Kenya, I'll turn it over to our two moderators to invite questions, and then we'll come later on to close. So let's all rise and give hands to our sister as she comes. Thank you for your work. Thank you for your effort. Thank you for your resilience. Thank you for your patriotism. Thank you for your love for our country. Welcome. Asante sana. God bless you. Sit down. Welcome, Mheshimiwa.
Good afternoon, everyone. Asanteni sana for welcoming me into this great community of compatriots. I was remarking today that your passion for Kenya and your passion for our culture, your pride of being Kenyans surpasses those of us at home and what we do at home. You are keeping our languages strong by teaching your children not only the languages we speak, but also imparting our culture in them. By coming together to remember Kenya, you are doing it more than we do because of nostalgia. I came in last night to a very warm welcome by Pastor Gigi, by Rebecca, and by Monica. And when I went to the home I went to, because I'm being hosted, it was so warm, I actually thought I was with my family in Kirinyaga. It really has been very warm, and that's the same warmth I continue to find among those of you who are there. Thank you for making me feel at home, away from home. And thank you for keeping together, far away from our motherland. I want to be very brief because it's been a long day. Firstly, to say, I do not need to list the problems bedeviling our country today. I know you keep in touch. I know you know the broken state of governance. You know that the Constitution is no longer being used as the operation manual. Otherwise, there would not be abductions, deaths, torture, and all things going wrong. I know you have been victims of monies you send home to buy property, and the property ending up being somebody else's title, or you end up being conned. I know that you are subsidizing healthcare when your loved ones at home have nobody else, because NHIF disappeared and the SHA chief is not showing up. I know you are subsidizing education when the system has failed like it has. I know you are subsidizing livelihoods because poverty is on the rise, not on the decline. When working people are being left with so little or nothing on their pay slips that they can no longer feed their families, pay their mortgages, pay for their cars. If you look at the page where auctioneers advertise, you would think the newspaper is owned by the auctioneers. So many people are in trouble. We all pay taxes and nobody refuses to pay taxes. But one of the principles of taxation is that you cannot tax people beyond what they can reasonably bear. Taxation is not supposed to be completely extractive where it brings you down. It is a contribution to the services and to the running of your country. But when you are overtaxed and the services diminish, it becomes a big problem. When corruption becomes the norm, not the exception, and it is official corruption being practiced by those in leadership, those affiliated to them, and their cartels. There is corruption even among the ordinary people. But people give up and revert to that status when everything becomes about corruption. And I want to remind you that Kenyans have in the past helped the nation to fight corruption. If you remember when Mwai Kibaki came in, and when people believed that the country had charted a new path, policemen on roadblocks were forced by citizens to return the 50 bob, 100 bob they had been given as bribes. The Kenyatta International Conference Center was recovered by an orderly mob. I'm calling it a mob because hundreds of people entered KICC, flashed Kanu out, did not damage the building or anything. and called the Minister of Information to take over the building. Kenyans can stand and help the state to become orderly, but only when they have hope. And today the lesson here was about faith and hope. Faith comes from trust, because where there is a deficit of trust in leadership, there can be no faith or belief in them. Hope comes also from the same thing, trust, where you see indication that things can change. So when you see the ordinary person in the street subjugating themselves to corruption, that you pay that little bit to get done with it, is because they have lost trust, they have lost faith, they have no hope in what is going on. There's something we can do about it. It's not all doom. We are the ones who elect leaders, good and bad leaders. And in Kenya, they tell us when we tell them, like I announce I want to run. So when we are being interviewed in the media, you hear a caller saying, msitu ni ule ule na nyani ni wale wale. Nikamwambia ndio, ni wale wale na msitu ni ule ule na wananchi ni wale wale. Sababu hata wananchi hawajakuja kutoka ng'ambo. Ni wale wale wanachagua watu ambao hawafai, wakijua na wakielewa hao watu hawafai. Kwa hivyo tuseme sisi sote tumekosea kijumla, not individually. Individually you may say I didn't do it, but collectively we have done it. So can we begin conversing? Now that we are in this hole, what shall we do to stop digging and to get out of the hole? Ndivyo tuseme iko mambo hatutarudia tena. But it is unreasonable to put the entire blame on leadership alone, forgetting that it is people who put governments in place. And I want to say, you may say we deceive you during campaign. We don't. If I tell you I'll do things, and you check my history and see last time I had a position, I did the opposite, you will know that my track record is not reliable. But last elections, those of us who called for track record, I used to call for it in my speeches, watu walisema hatutaki historia. Sisi tushaamua. Na kama mnasema mtu ni mwizi, kila mtu ni mwizi. Afadhali huyu wetu anatuletea. The question is, are you, me, are you a thief? Is everybody a thief? We all know that what we were saying is not true. Even in your village, in the neighborhood you live, bad people are known and they are few. Actually, the majority of people are average people who would like things done the right way. But those who like things done the wrong way talk so loud you would think it's the same village, it's the whole village. They suppress those with a contrary opinion and they will fear to voice. But if I voice my stand, you echo it, another one echoes it. Just 5 people in this group, you will find more and more waking up. But if everybody who stands, the first 5, are siding with the wrong side, majority never speak again. So can we gather our courage and realize Kenya needs you. Kenya needs each one of us. Leaders cannot change a country. They can advocate, spearhead, but without the support of majority, no leader can bring change. But together we can bring change. Right now I want to invite you to initiate conversation, not just here in Georgia. Initiate conversation with your loved ones at home, people you call, people you send support to, friends you just converse with. What is it that we shall do? And it is simple. We have an operational manual. The same way you get an operational manual when you buy a new car or a washing machine. Our operational manual to operate a corporation called Kenya is our Constitution of Kenya. If it is how to use public finances, a whole chapter. If it's on leadership, a whole chapter. If it is national values, I am not telling you to take Mother Karua values. You are also not telling me to take your values. As Kenyans, we agreed on our national values and principles of governance, Article 10 of our Constitution. Transparency, accountability, inclusiveness, social justice, equity, equality, all those things that are about your rights, my rights, our human rights, our collective prosperity. Those are our national values, and those are our values as Africans. Imagine even in our families, mothers protect the youngest. If you find your bigger child pulling the small one, and it may be the small one who started to kick the bigger one, you never ask where it started. It's wachana na mtoto. If one family member is sick and they have no money, you contribute. Even here, because there is family, your blood, and there is family, the friends and neighbors God has given you. If one of you has a misfortune, the entire Kenyan community, irrespective of where they come from, they become your family. If you have a celebration, once again, they all become your family. So we must support each other. And that is community, the value of community, and it is in the Constitution. Kenya is our larger community. You come from a family, you have a community of friends, you may consider those who speak your language your community, but Kenya is the super community of all communities. And we are together to look after each other. Article 43 talks about basic needs, that a government must facilitate the basic needs of the people. So what would we do differently? For instance, because I'm asking for that chance, a Karua administration would use the operational manual. It means that you ensure there is accessible education, accessible health, you make sure that there is housing, and if there is no housing, because it will not take a day to build houses, you will ensure there is some social support. And for there to be housing, you don't need to give your cronies and cartels the work of building houses. And by the way, that work does not belong to national government. It's to county governments. Hata samani sini council. The county governments are doing what the council used to. You cannot have a national government giving tenders for houses in counties. It's not their work. Pure corruption. And that's why they end up being expensive beyond. And then you cannot say you are building houses for people when you are actually destroying the houses people have and leaving them destitute. And do you know whose houses are being destroyed? The poor. Some are retirees who bought land and have titles. They have no other money they are looking forward to. Imagine what happens when that person's house is destroyed. Some get sick, some die. Children are sleeping outside. They are left destitute. And it's mass demolition without any notice and without alternative. Because where a government demolishes for development, the rules, even international law and our constitution, you must find alternative means for those people. Because when there is a humanitarian crisis, who is supposed to settle the people if floods come? The government. So you cannot create a humanitarian crisis in the name of development. You cannot force people to contribute to housing. It should be voluntary. There are people who will never need your housing. They are already in their own housing. Those who will never afford, you cannot force. So there are so many things, and we can change them. All of you here, and I'm very glad that you get to tell me which family, because I know all the families. But imagine you all come from wards. Kemunya is in Kabare ward of Kirinyaga, Geshugu. We have 20 wards in Kirinyaga. You come from a county, but beyond a county, your links are with a ward in Kenya. What if all of us started conversation in our wards? How shall we elect the next leadership? what shall we be looking for? When you want a driver, you ask them for their license first because you want to know whether they are qualified to drive. You then ask, have you had accidents? You want to know their history of driving. If a guy tells you, or a lady, I've written off 3 new cars in the last 3 months, would you continue with that conversation? Imagine we take leave of our senses for political positions, because if my history shows I cannot be trusted with public issues, ni kama kukuambia I've written off 3 cars, and you are clapping and hugging the person and telling them pass, and you do not want to interview any other. Let us own our collective destiny. Let us agree that we will exercise the same prudence we exercise when it is your personal issue. Collective issues are more dear than personal issues. When they go wrong, they punish many. They punish the vulnerable. Do you know Shashif is causing death? Do you know people are hungry? Insecurity is causing death. Violation of rights is causing death. Can you see how serious that interview for a public position should be? And public position is not just the presidency. Your MCA and your governor make your county government. And most issues, including health, are for your county government. So let us not underrate election of that MCA, governor, member of parliament, women rep, senator, and finally, president. Let's take all 6 elections seriously, and let's be ambassadors to mobilize. And you can do so digitally. We've already been shown by the Gen Z that digital rallies are bigger than physical rallies. If this is online, perhaps we are having more people online than those present here, although I'm really very happy with this turnout. But I'm sure if it's digital, there is more presence digitally. So please, Kenya needs each one of us, and you can do so much more. Imagine you can mobilize 10, 100 votes in Kenya while seated here. Imagine those votes can have a ripple effect, and you and a friend can change your ward. And if several other people are doing the same, you can change a county. And if other people are doing so in their counties, in 47 counties, we can change Kenya. Change will come a ward at a time. And within the ward, a polling station at a time. Then a county at a time. Then the entire Kenya together. Do not worry how we will do it. I want to very quickly talk about the role of money in politics. We need money for logistics, for sure. But we do not need obscene sums of money to dish out to voters. Even when we dish out money, only very few get that money. But those few then drum the support of their whatever so much, it fills the air and people are influenced. Imagine you have influence you can use, and between now and this time next year, we will have conversed with Kenya that this time, in order to get out of this cycle, we must elect with our minds and our hearts, not our stomach. You may not be able to stop a hungry person from taking a 50 bob or 100 shillings note. But if we have hardened their resolve, they will take, knowing perhaps it's corrupt proceeds of their money, but they still will not vote for that person, the way they used to do during the KANU era. Why am I saying we have only 1 year and elections are in 2027? Because the window for reasonable conversation is 1 year. By next year, the fever for election will start rising. And we will reach the time when we become hard of hearing. When we cannot have a conversation, it's a shouting match. There's so much you can do. Mobilizing support, mobilizing resources, those necessary resources. And this you can do by supporting a candidate or candidates of your choice, supporting a political party of your choice. The party I lead has been rebranded. It is the People's Liberation Party of Kenya. Our slogan is Unite, Liberate, because we are so aware that we need unity of purpose in order to liberate ourselves. But there are many parties. If PLP does not attract you, kindly join any other party of your choice. Let us advocate for good governance. Be a digital warrior. Even call, be a voice warrior, because you can call through WhatsApp, you can have conversations. There's so much more we can do. Mobilize here, mobilize out there. And I know you have issues of additional voting stations as diaspora. We will join you in calling for that. You do not need any additional legislation. Even the 3 that are there, hakuna bill ilipelekwa parliament. It was administrative action. We need quick administrative action for more polling stations based on demographics. We need to see services come to the diaspora where they are. Nothing stops the ambassador sitting in Washington from choosing a period in summer where they go 1 week to each of the states with a heavy population of Kenyans. It is possible to bring services to you. We want to encourage you to demand, not to request, to demand for services. You are the #1 foreign exchange earner. Last year alone, 641 billion. The total number of, money the Kenya government last year gave to the 47 counties for their running was 341 billion. It pales when compared to your total. For development in the 47 counties, which is Kenya, apparently 109 billion. You are a very significant force. We want to encourage you to leverage your financial clout and to say no taxation without representation. Please let your voices be heard. We in Kenya undertake, and I personally undertake, to help amplify your voices. As I wind up the political talk and then 2 minutes of the tide, I want to say this, that in Kenya, just like here, we Kenyans have this Harambee spirit. When we want something done, we get together. When you want a road which is impassable, Kenyans get together in the absence of official services, and they can even build a bridge. Like I know Membly Estate built a bridge recently because it had collapsed and the state has taken too long. And I know up country, I see women and men carrying stones to put at an impassable point of the road. Water projects, electricity projects, people contribute. People have even built schools. I just want to tell you, there's only one project we ignore. Siasa ni muradi. Chama ya siasa ni muradi, and a candidate stepping up, hiyo ni muradi yako. Why? You're looking for better governance. And politics is life. It determines the services you get, even your security. Tuchukue siasa, vyama vya siasa, na siasa kama muradi. If you leave me to get money alone, I'll probably concentrate on filling my bag when I get there. But if I'm your muradi, you will hold me to account. I will owe it to you. And we will be stopping cartels from funding candidates to then demand their drop of blood when we get there. Kindly let us tell our people, uchaguzi ni muradi wa kuboresha nini? Nchi. Asanteni. I now want to very quickly talk about Against the Tide. It's my journey from growing up as a small girl, through to school, through my leadership journey. And I'm just sharing the way we Africans share. You know, we come from a background of oral tradition. My grandmother told me stories. My mother, my father, my aunts around me. And today I'm a storyteller to my grandchildren. And my children will remember the many stories I told them, because that's who we are. But because now we have reached a stage where we share more than those who speak our languages, and where we want to share for posterity, we are putting our stories in black and white. This is about sharing. We share my triumphs, we share my falls. There may be something I did that may encourage you. There may be something you will avoid, a pitfall that you may avoid. So this is a question of sharing. You want to understand me better, you will see me in this. Nobody's life can fit in one book. We take the highlights. Those who may not have met me, kindly meet me here. I hear people saying, hata hacheki. Unataka nicheke nikiongea mambo ya wizi ya pesa yako? Unataka nicheke nikiongea juu ya watoto wetu kuuawa? You are seeing me very serious moments. Meet me here. We may laugh together. And you may realize, mimi ni kama wewe. Ile sura unaenda Masisi nayo, sio sura ya harusi, sio sura ya party ya kuwelcome a newborn. We all have different shades, but the media will portray the moments they want to portray. So utasema huyo hata hacheki. Si cheki maovu ya kitawala. Lakini ukinikuta a good moment, my friend, we shall have a good laugh. Ukinikuta masaa ya kudance, tutadance. Hata ukifikiria wewe ni Gen Z, utakuta Granny can dance better than you. You see? So we all have different faces. I welcome you to meet me here. And those who may not get copies today, this book is on Amazon. And we are going to continue marketing it, because being in black and white, experiences, some of our experiences are universal. We can share them beyond the borders. Asanteni sana, mbarikiwe.
I want to turn to our able moderators to take us through.
Thank you. Asante sana, Honorable Martha Karua. As we've said, we are honored to have you here, and it's truly a pleasure to have you here. So we will, as we had, alternate with Kate to moderate this event. We have some questions that came from individuals who were not able to be here. So what I will do, I'll start with one of the questions that came from someone who was not able to be here, and then we'll go from there. So the first question that we have here, and I believe this question came from Sue Mwaura Ouko, sent a question, and her question was, let me start with this question. What is Kenya's problem? Does eliminating Ruto solve the problem? Do you think we should go the Burkina Faso way? And who can we trust moving forward? That was the first question that came. I think that, yeah, okay. That was the first one. The next one was, is there a way that through IABC courts, that the IABC can be obligated to include non-consulate registration centers? And then the final one, which may be tied to the first one, is now that Ruto has come out of what type he is, you as a key member of ODM once stated that he was unfit to be the president in the election. How will you convince Kenyans that ODM, and you in person, and I don't know if this individual is aware that there might be a shift, is the party to lead Kenya, and at the same time, Raila and his team being part of Ruto's government, how come you and other oppositions took so long to support the Gen Z's demonstrations? I think that second part is the most important. How come you and the other opposition group took so long to support the Gen Z demonstrations? I think we can start there, and then Kate will ask the rest of the questions. Thank you, Mugendi. So, we are in a democracy, and we appreciate that, and we will take that into consideration. Because Muheshimiwa was already in her way, prepping herself for that, the first part of the questions, let's give her a chance, and we certainly have heard you. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I'll start with the last one. What made us take so long to support the Gen Z? If you followed the Gen Z protests, actually they were asking that we keep out, politicians keep out. And we deliberately kept out, although supporting them on social media, because we would have given Ruto the excuse to say that it is politicians mobilizing. And you remember we had our own protests as Azimio, which had not been as successful as the Gen Z. This was unexpected, and it was only fair. Personally, I supported them on the keyboard only, but without making it look like we are the ones, just urging them on. You sometimes have to let things happen their own way. The only place we never really supported them, and we let them down, when they were massacred on 25th, as their parents, the whole country, we should have come out. We stayed inside as cowards when our children were crying and being massacred outside. That's the only collective blame we take, and which was entrenched by Raila speaking, purporting to speak on behalf and saying, we are talking, until people asked him, what do you mean by we? And he now retreated and said he meant ODM. You see? We let them down collectively as Kenyans. We did not show outrage. We are actually guilty of letting down our children. I don't know how a parent can stay outside when in your compound you can hear your children being hacked to death outside. We should have come out to die with them. Let him kill as many. In Bangladesh, the army killed over 400 until they realized this is not feasible. And they told the lady, it's you to get out. We are not brave collectively. We let our children down. It is a lesson. Moving forward, we must do it differently. How can we all wait to be wiped out? It's still happening. We need to think. The other one, I am not a member of ODM, I'm sorry. Even when I deputized Raila, I deputized him as NARC Kenya, now rebranded as the People's Liberation Party. And we differed when the demonstrations of Azimio were stopped, when Azimio was tricked by Ruto to accept a parliamentary process. NADCO is a parliamentary process. And a parliamentary process, Ruto was welcoming them into his arms. And look at the end result. ODM has one leg in government, one leg in opposition. And I've been telling them publicly, we left Azimio even before we rebranded to PLP. So I'm not a member of Azimio. Raila alikuwa kinara wangu, alikuwa, sio kinara wangu. And it is by choice. We agreed to disagree because failing to relinquish opposition or watchdog committees, which belong to the opposition, when you are actually in government by donating your people to be part of government and dining with the government, it's a violation of the Constitution. Watchdog committees of public accounts and public investments must be chaired by virtue of the Constitution and the standing orders by a party that is not in government. And when a party in the opposition wishes to be part of government, you have to do a formal political marriage. And that is called a post-election coalition agreement, which has to be deposited with the registrar. Yani unaelezea umevuka. You have moved to the other side. They've refused to do what is honest. We are calling them out, but me, I'm not a member of ODM, never was its partner, but we parted ways. Yeah. Because you cannot remain in one position if things change. You have to move. The other one, IEBC, to include other registration centers. I had already said so in my address. I do think it's an administrative action, and the diaspora must demand its share, and we shall continue supporting. What is the problem? Is Ruto the problem in Kenya? Yes. Ruto represents the Ruto KK, now KK ODM administration. So it is KK and its allies. And he being the first among equals, because he's the leader of that Murengo. It is the Ruto administration. When people say Ruto must go, is Ruto the person and the entire administration? He is being named because he is the leader. They are a problem. He said he was fighting dynasties. He has built dynasties, starting with himself. Actually, he meant the opposite. Alikuwa akituambia atazijenga. He talked of cartels. He's the greatest cartel. I saw the other day Standard asking whether Devki is his Gupta. You know Gupta in South Africa. Alikuwa anamuuliza huyo ndiye Gupta wako. So anyway, they have repurposed the state. It no longer serves the majority. It's serving a small clique. You pay taxes, they are used to aid the affluent life of a few, and they are not afraid to show us. They will show us helicopters, they will show us shoes, belts, and watches, and everything else when others are dying. So it is a terrible thing. Our greatest enemy, which Ruto represents, is corruption and impunity. We have abandoned the rule of law. In order to bring sanity back to Kenya, Ruto must go, if that is the question you are asking. In order to liberate Kenya, to liberate education, for people to enjoy human rights, for rule of law to return, yes, Ruto must go. And Ruto must go means Ruto and his entire administration, and anybody else who thinks like him. And whom can we trust? I have given you my view of how you can check the stand of each one of us as leaders. Check our track record. And I'm sure as reasonable beings, you also have many, many other ways of checking on each one of us. Whether we say one thing and do the other. Just the same way you check when you are hiring people, even for your domestic. So let us put our collective wisdom together, and let us be able to do the best we can for our country. Thank you.
Wow, good afternoon, everybody. We appreciate you, our Honorable Mother Karua, so much. First of all, welcome to Atlanta. We are happy to have you, and congratulations on the book. So we will continue these candid discussions with Martha. I have met Martha today for the first time, and I can tell you, just for the little time I have met with Martha, I've really connected with this lady. I have seen her as this tough, iron ready we all know about. Actually, I had to ask her, where do you get your niche? Because she is a go-getter. Ladies, let us get empowered by Martha. She is strong. She is a strong woman. And women, now women, we have become strong. So let us continue with these conversations. We are here to support you, Mother. We are here to listen to you. And we will continue with the questions. And I know there are some people who will be passing the mic. I think I have the first one. So those who are helping us, just stand up.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, Honorable Martha Karua. Okay, I'm not standing on the basis of politics, but I'm standing on the basis of education, because you've said liberation of education is also a key aspect in our country. As a teacher who has 2 certifications, both in Georgia and California, I was a TSC teacher, and I'm looking at the new education system, which is the CBC. We really took the new system, which is not exam route oriented. But since I've been here as a teacher, I've realized that there are cracks involved in our education system. So if we can change it, because I have a proposal which I've been writing, and I was surprised to see in a WhatsApp group that Martha Karua is coming. You can help me to be in the media center, to give them to give me a platform to tell them the reason why we should change some subjects which are in our CBC. I think our education system in the high school level should have a CTE program, which we have in the Douglas County system, whereby we educate our students in relation to the real life situation on the basis. We should not have more compulsory subjects which are not relevant to our students. We are here, but we still have our families back in our country. I still have a 5-year contract with the American government, but still, I'd like to go back to my country to address the new curriculum, which is the Douglas, which I've really been researching on, and with my new teaching certification in California, to tell them that we have messed in the new CBC. It is good for addressing the issues of the Kenyan child, but we really need to adjust some other aspects. As Maya Angelou once said that, what is education? It is to give us the transformative power. At the same time, it is to bring the innovative or creative aspects of a child, and also to provide a better future. So with my proposal, I'm kindly asking Honorable Martha Karua to give me a platform in June, because I'll be having a break back at home, to have a chance in one of the media centers to address the TAC, to allow teachers to come at the same time, teach here for a period of 1 year, go back and implement it in the classroom. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Let's have another question. We're going to take 3 questions, and she's going to ask. Okay, let's have this side. Gender balance.
They can hear me even without the microphone, I guess. So mine is political because it goes to the reality. I was in Kenya about a week and a half ago, and I met some person that works in the Ruto government, and he was saying the 2027 is in the bag, and the reasoning was this. According to UNHCR, there are about 3.5 million refugees, and I think Ruto has kind of committed to provide those with Kenyan IDs. If they get Kenyan IDs, they'll be registered as voters. Now, looking at the landscape today, I know the LSK of late 1980s and early 1990s seems to be very different today. I think Omtata now represents the LSK, or he does the work of LSK. And I really like what that senator does. So I'm just curious from you as a senior counsel, representing as a representation of the legal fraternity in Kenya, what, if anything, will Kenyans do to make sure that that doesn't happen? Because I believe the IEBC system is very solid in terms of the voting day. Based on what I understand, it's very difficult to rig from the voting day because the vote count is at the polling station all the way to tallying. But how do you forestall the illegal registration for those people that should not register as voters. How do you forestall that from happening? Because if anyone succeeds in registering people that should not be on the voter rolls, maybe foreigners registering, then they could easily win, but not in a legal way. I just want to hear your thoughts on how especially do we prevent these 3.5 million refugees and possibly many others across the border from registering as voters?
Thank you. Thank you so much. We will have one more question. I think he raised his hand first. Let's have one more and she'll answer and then we'll continue.
This is a political question. Tying to what that gentleman has just said, the fact that we know sometimes if we are struggling right now, we have pain, should we wait until 2027? Or is there any provision by the Constitution? Now that we know we are in a country where presidents have been taken to court and even to jail, why can't we have an avenue where if the current regime is corrupt and there is evidence, what is the law that can provide so that we remove them ahead of time?
Thank you. Thank you, Mheshimiwa.
Once again, I'll start from the bottom and say this. The Constitution provides that sovereignty belongs to the citizens. And I genuinely believe that the Ruto administration was sacked last year, June 25. 37 counties were out in numbers that are unimaginable. If it was a self-respecting administration, he would not have sacked cabinet. They would have resigned as a government and paved way for a new administration. Now that this did not happen, there are many ways they can be run out of town legitimately or run themselves out of town. The economy can collapse. It can also be caused to collapse if Kenyans collectively agreed to boycott work even just for 3 days. The economy is so fragile, it can collapse. There are many options, but all that failing, 2027 is not far. Although people will have suffered so much, we need to prepare. And this joins with the question that, is 2027 a lost cause? Have they already put all the rigging machinery in place so that there is nothing we can do? This is the propaganda that will be marketed to you so that you give up even before trying. There are no 3 million refugees in both Dadaab and Kakuma. Let us begin there. Remember, we had started getting them to go home. Even if you put them together, I don't think they can even add up to 2 million. And Kenyans are not staying idle. Cases will be in court because to be even able to register refugees, the Constitution of Kenya is greater than UNHCR or even the UN. There has to be public participation. There has to be a bill in parliament, legislation. You can't just dish up Kenya's IDs to refugees without a policy paper, without legislation, and with that, it comes with public participation. I believe people are in court. And yes, Omtata does very good work. Even long before he became a senator, Omtata was known as a public defender. But I want to say, the Law Society, under the leadership of Faith Odhiambo, is now the greatest public defender in Kenya. They're actually like an alternative government. Faith has inspired the membership. Faith, a young woman, and a scholar, has inspired the membership that anytime the public are arrested, whether in Isiolo, in Mombasa, in Kakamega, any place in Kenya, with just a click of a phone, she'll be able to instantly mobilize lawyers to appear. And if you have followed, you have seen it. If it is the abduction cases, Faith was able to get LSK to go to court to question the cases, and then she named several of us who had shown interest in fighting abductions as interested parties. I was an interested party in that case. Omtata was. The Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, the Kenya Human Rights Commission, which is an NGO. One is a constitutional body, the other an NGO. We were several interested parties to help LSK to support the case. The court gave what I would call a funny ruling the other day and said that we now go and prosecute the application. I will not go into the merits of that, but I want you to acknowledge that LSK is back, and it's back under the leadership of Faith Moni Odhiambo. And she's doing very great together with her entire council, and there is harmony. We still appreciate the effort Senator Omtata puts. There is also another doctor from Nakuru called Morara Omoke. There are several Kenyans who have come up. They may not have acquired the prolific status of Omtata when it comes to suing. Omoke is in Nakuru. There's another person in the same Nakuru I'm forgetting. There are several people around the country who are now regularly suing the government. And it is something beautiful. We are under a dictator, but the only difference between this and Moi era is that there is a constitution that helps us to push back, to get, even if it's temporary orders, to fight these things. So we have not lost. And those who are wondering how we shall win when it is Ruto and ODM putting in an electoral commission, we are telling Ruto, even if you put together a Ruto electoral commission, bado tutakushinda. Please do not agree to be smothered before you even try. We are willing to try. And as the opposition, we are uniting. We have unity of purpose. Not everybody has come under it, but the doors are wide open for everybody to come under that umbrella. To defeat a dictator, and that's what happened during the Kanu era, you got to front one main opposition candidate. And you've got to move the country to the extent that a majority, a large majority, vote on one side. If you remember, Kibaki had over 63 or 67, between 63 and 67%. KANU membership in parliament dropped to under 40. We are saying the next elections, constituencies are 290. We must not allow KK and its allies to have more than 40. 250, lazima iwe upande moja. And all the votes must be largely on one side. That's the only way to defeat a rigging machine. I saw it in Senegal in January of this year. And we are telling our neighbors in Uganda and Tanzania, they must also unite. Because what happens in Uganda is affecting Kenya. And what happens in Kenya is affecting? You saw me going to Uganda to fight for Besigye. By the way, the case is still on. Because we must show the dictators, if they unite to oppress us, as citizens of Jumuiya, we are uniting to push back. Wafanye ile wanataka. Fear is not an option. Hata ukikaa chini ya kitanda kwako, watakukujia huko chini ya kitanda. Wacha tutoke, tuwaonyeshe, hata sisi, we are not living at their mercy. It's under the mercy of God. So, please, let us not give up before we start. These are not the only thoughts, it's my thoughts. Search yourself, you might just give us an idea on how to bust these guys. Finally, I think I've answered all of them because I've answered. Oh, education, yes, teacher. I can see this one here in TSC. Those are very good thoughts, madam. And it is your right, as the right of every Kenyan, to contribute to education policy and even later legislation on education. CBC was hurriedly crafted. And by the way, it was not our original idea. I tell you the truth, it came from UK. We are still a colony in our deeds. Waliweka CBC huko, wakatumana kwetu, tukaichukua, tukakimbia nayo. All right? We have no preparedness, teachers had not been trained, hastily enacted, and a bother to parents. I will not tell you that tukiingia hivi tutaichange siku hiyo. But if we start now, developing policy, and that's why we need those ideas, because we intend to have a common platform as the opposition, and we are many candidates, and we are saying let everybody grow their brand. Martha Karua anajikuza na PLP. Kalonzo anajikuza na chama yake. Matiang'i atajikuza. Kila mtu atajikuza. And then it will begin to become obvious that XY may be the leading candidate. And then we find a fair way of settling on one. Going to the polls, many of us, is automatically voting for Ruto. And it's a crime against Kenyans. You see? You also can pressurize us that we either are together or tukae. You know? Let's join this conversation. We are in a very, very bad place. I want to welcome you and tell you that PLP would like to hear your ideas on education. But when you come to Kenya, take contact. I will help you get to a station where you can discuss your policies. And even if you want to write an op-ed in the newspapers, we'll support to have you air your views. We are not, none of us has a monopoly of wisdom. And I have learned through my leadership journey, you succeed when you are open to ideas. Even as a minister, I wasn't an expert in water when I went to the Ministry of Water. But using my experts, the ministry was shining. You get the credit when you allow people, human resources to guide you, you get the credit. When Kibaki gets the credit, he didn't do it alone. But he was the type of person who allows talent to show up. Ruto is failing. When you become a know-it-all and you lock out talent, when you make your ministers and your senior people robots, you fail because nobody has it all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'll have my co-moderator do the next questions.
Thank you. I have my own personal question while I'm here, and then I'll take a couple more, and then we will go back to the ones that are in. Honorable Karua, you talked a lot about what we can do. As a diaspora, and we have had some of these conversations, we feel that in spite of all the remittances that we have continued to provide to prop up that government, we still do not have a voice. And we have talked about the various ways that we can be included in the process. One of my questions was, what would a PLP presidency provide to the diaspora? And number two, what would 100 days, the first 100 days of a PLP government look like? I will also take two more questions, and then we'll let you answer.
Thank you so much. My name is Timothy Ndegwa. When I see you, I see my mother, my sister, and my daughter. Then I know the term Gen Z came out last year, but I think you're the first Gen Z when you walked out in front of Moi. That was so daring. I mean, like, fist up, put a do, and you walked out. My political question is this, and you alluded to that. Sometimes a week or so ago, SK Mashari was talking somewhere in a funeral, and he talked about how corrupted or doctored our electro machines are. You've been you've been in both sides during the Kibaki time and the other times. What is it that goes on there, or what is it that can be changed that you know of? Because you can vote, but most of the time you vote and the following day we see you in court defending somebody who lost. So on the electoral machine, what is it that you can do to help?
Thank you, Dengwa. Let's try and keep our questions short so we can have as many people as possible ask their questions. Thank you.
Looking back during Moi's time, there are 2 times that the opposition lost because they could not unite. And it was so clear they were going to win if only they had united. Are you now telling us that the opposition is going to unite, and whoever they come up with, even if it is not you, you will support them? Because I think that's the only time that we'll be able to defeat this regime.
Thank you. As you can tell, mambo yamechemuka. People are very passionate. Let's take one more here, and then we'll let you answer.
Yeah, thank you. So this is my question here. You have spoken of us having conversations with our people back home. And I remember before the last elections, I and some of my friends here tried to do the same quite long before the election. And people were very receptive before, like long before the election came. But when it was almost the time to have elections, you could tell that there was a euphoria, that was kind of moving people. There was no reasoning, there was no logic. There were a lot of lies. And I think it went like, if a lie is repeated so many times, it appeared to be the truth, So my question is this. I know you have faced this many times, especially even with your book, like Going Against the Tide. Many of us are not as strong as you are. I remember I got so much insults, and especially on the social media. I had to delete my Facebook account. I remember. It was bad. We could see this coming. We are not here just out of nowhere. We made this decision. So how do we have these conversations? How do we are able to convince people that you should put yourself in the center of the election? It's not about euphoria. It's not about my friend is voting for this person, so I'm voting for them, or we are voting for this person. Why am I doing this? How do we do that? Then second, the kind of politics that we have in Kenya today is greed-driven. Money is stolen from the treasury. It has now transformed to borrowing and to steal, and the money is actually stolen even before it gets to Kenya. Now it has even come to begging, like going foreign trips to beg, to steal, and the money now, how is it used? It's used to bribe politicians, even bribe people to come and cheer somebody in a political meeting, in a political gathering. Now, my question is this, because this is not the first time that this has happened, and you have been very consistent in how you do your things. You could have chosen to be bought, to become a multi-trillionaire with stolen money. How are you able to do this? How are you able to be consistent and retain your values? Thank you.
Thank you. Again, let's try and keep it to one question only. We'll take this one, and then we'll let Honorable respond, and then we'll come back. Thank you.
My name is Mzee Wesley. My question is political. How strong is your resolve to become the president of Kenya, knowing that the current president, William Ruto, is a very serious political operative who will buy anybody just to retain power? Because we have seen an opposition and an uprising of Gen Z that came up, and most of those formidable figures now have, they have died off. Recently, we have seen that Morara Kebaso is no longer even online. So how strong is your resolve to face the bull by its horns and take the presidency? And two, are you ready to compromise? Because you are a gem for Kenya. Are you ready to compromise and even go to serve the people of Kirinyaga? Because that is like low-hanging fruit. Thank you.
Thank you. Mheshimiwa?
Mercy, you asked administration would do. I'm trying to read my handwriting. You asked what to ensure. Oh, I'm not. What was your question? I wrote the way I wrote.
The diaspora question?
Oh, the diaspora. Yes,
Yes.
the diaspora question. And my short answer is that I would ensure diaspora participates not only in governance, but in government. Because if you make an appointment in government of a person who is from diaspora, it means that when you are discussing diaspora issues, there is a person who knows from lived experience. You cannot represent people's interests when you really do not exactly understand what they are. And it's the same argument we use as women, that unless there is a critical mass of us, you cannot be able to understand us. The same with the youth, with people with disability. Diaspora is a special category in any country. It, like everybody else, requires representation in government, not just in governance. I was asked about what S.K. Macharia said recently. S.K., my good friend, was talking from his personal perspective as a member of ODM. He is talking about the 2007 elections. I was a member of PNU. I'll tell you to read Krieger report, they are online, Waki report. You will see that there was actual exaggeration of votes from both ODM strongholds and the PNU strongholds. Two thieves trying to steal each other. Where do they get the righteous indignation to claim stolen election when you are a thief trying to steal from the other? In vernacular, we say, Moshemia korireo, mokungi. Yani, the creeping one find a crawling one. And one outsmarted the other. The truth of the matter, those were not honest elections. I defended Kibaki with the courage of my conviction, because at that moment, all I knew is how I had been elected, honestly. By the way, I never faced a petition the 4 times I was elected, because my ballots were counted normally. But now in hindsight, and having gone through the whatever, I know that there are places ballots were stuffed. When Kaboko was telling me that his election was stolen by Kanu in Thika, in Juja, the whole of Juja and Thika were one constituency. I didn't quite believe him because George Thuo, who had won, was also a friend. But when they went to counting, the court nullified George Thuo's election, and we defeated Uhuru and his Kanu that election. We got Kabogo re-elected in Kenya. So I know for a fact there was fiddling of votes in Juja the way ODM was claiming. In Chepalungu, when I stayed overnight at KICC, the votes of Chepalungu had been listed as 337,000, which was more than the population of Chepalungu at that time. When I raised with IEBC, they told me, and like a fool I believed, because that time I didn't know there was massive rigging. They said it's a typographical error. They brought an adjusted sheet showing 37,000, and they said they would deduct 300,000 from Raila's votes. I'll give you only those 2 examples, and also tell you that Kasipul Kabondo had voted 115%. Those who were analyzing said any station that turns up more than 90,000, even 90% is impossible. But anyone that turns above 90, you remove, because that is an impossibility. So the situation Macharia is talking about, he's talking as a supporter of Raila, who had put in his energy and whatever. He is therefore talking about whatever he was told by the PNU without, either maybe he didn't know or an akanyanga break on what ODM did. I was a staunch supporter of PNU, but they had not told me what was happening. If I had left Kirinyaga, and you read in my book, 20,000 people had not voted in Gishugu. They tried to get me out of it. I refused and told them not to call me again. I had defeated my closest opponent with 12,000 votes. Had I left and they take 15,000 to add Kibaki and add to my opponent, they could then have said, amenishinda nangapi? 3,000. That's how elections are stolen. But something was telling me you cannot live without your certificate. So we now know what happened. I was courageous, able to hold a whole hall alone, because now I know what wa ODM walikuwa wondering, kwani she knows. I didn't know. I just thought people had been elected the way I was elected. So to change this rigging machine, let the votes not be close. How did Kibaki win in 2002? By, not 2002, 2002. Yeah, it's 2002, not 1992. He won because the vote was overwhelming. If it had been close, if members of parliament were close, Kanu angefinya finya. Already, Moi was being told by some of his people not to give up. But Uhuru went and made a concession speech. And even if they had added votes, they had no parliamentarians. They could not have survived the first day in parliament. Tungefanya motion of no confidence. So the only thing is for Kenyans to be serious. Unite, liberate is our slogan. You will not liberate without uniting. And yes, you asked. I very much want to be the CEO of Kenya because I feel strongly I can withstand the pressure. I actually say I was made for hard times, not for normal times. So I feel I can do this, and I am ready for it. But after all that, should it be found that somebody else should be the flag bearer, Kenya is greater than any one of us. I would rather step back and not see my country sink. I have not been in an elected position since 2012. My voice has not diminished. It's not election, it's not a formal position or money that moves me. It's a commitment, a calling within me. I can still serve you even not elected. But I am putting my bid not as a joke. Mugendi, this is very serious. I'm not giving at it before I start. There has to be a fast, and that fast you're looking at her. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. I want to agree entirely that 1992 and 97, opposition lost to Moi. Moi was winning with 33%. Unaona ni kama kurogwa tulikuwa tumerogwa. Wakati huu hatutarogwa. We shall pray, we shall act, and your voices will be so loud, warning those of us who might want to deviate, that ukienda uende peke yako na hatukujui tena. If your voices are loud enough, we shall remain on course. The other one is about, I want to say also, in 2022, if you remember, Raila took time, Raila and Uhuru, to decide what they want. Going around the country, crafting Azimio, not saying whether he will run or not. Then towards the end, when Ruto ameenda ako karibu kumaliza, ndio Azimio imeingia. Me as a candidate, I came in 2.5 months to the elections. It is a miracle that we did so much, caught up with a group that was permanently ahead. But after I came in, we really worked and we caught up and we surpassed them. And yes, I'll tell you without batting an eyelid, we won. We not only had 187 seats in parliament, to their 160-something. And that's why the court is repeatedly saying Azimio was the majority party. We also had 27 counties to their 20, and I'll tell you how I count that. The actual counties where Azimio has governors is 24, okay? But Taita Taveta has an independent governor who had been rigged in Azimio, not in Azimio, in ODM nominations. He went as an independent. He won, but the county voted for Azimio. Count that as the 25th. Nairobi, Sakaja won. Or they said he won. But the vote was Azimio vote. Tumeenda sasa 26. Inaitwaje? Narok. Narok, the governor won. They could not announce a different governor in Narok, Masai wangewamaliza. Contrary to the law, the governor election of Narok, gubernatorial election of Narok, was announced at Bomas, which is against the law. But the county voted for Azimio, although they announced a KK governor. Isn't that 27? Kirinyaga was an independent who had won. They returned to Waiguru, but the county had voted for KK. Because the counties, Meru is an independent governor who won, Kawira, whom they removed recently. But the county voted for KK. That is how their counties are 20. Na zetu sikiwa 27. It's an impossibility. For us to have 27 counties, more members of parliament, and they win. And if you want to know the big counties in Meru, Kiambu, they won those hands down. Other two big counties, Kakamega and Nairobi, Azimio won those. So you cannot say it's that we want small entities. We want big counties. We want that vote. To avoid that, my dears, put in your effort, I put mine. Let us organize Kenya, county by polling station by polling station, ward by ward, county by county. Let the overwhelming vote be on one side. Let us relive our experiences and what we need to get out of the whole. I believe if we do it in the coming 1 year, things are going to change. You do not want cartels, fund political parties and fund candidates. Not sio pesa ya kupeana, logistics only. And adopt polling stations on voting day. Let us safeguard the votes. They will have nowhere to hide. We are intent on winning this one. I think I have one more. Wesley, you asked my resolve. At 67, believe you me, I must have an amount of resolve difficult to move. I survived Moi era, survived Kibaki, and even walked out of a government I had fought for. I have walked out of Azimio. I'm still going strong. And I've said, for 12 years, I've not been in a formal position. My voice does not diminish, it increases. If that is not resolved, I don't know what is, my dear.
Amen. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Mheshimiwa. This is very candid discussions. Oh, you didn't answer his question. Not him. There were two questions here.
What was the other one? I wrote Wesley. That's why I encourage you to make it short.
Yeah. He asked
Keep it short.
Yeah, it was about the conversations with our families back home. It's not easy to have the conversations. And yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I'm talking of conversations, but I want to tell you this. I want to tell you this. If you remember, when I became the Azimio running mate and went to Mount Kenya, for the past 5 days, I had to brave serious hostility and shouting. I was able to calm them down eventually, by just telling them a few truths, that the vote is in your pocket. I cannot raid your pocket to take away your vote. Listen to me and give your vote to whoever you want. Number 2, coming to my meeting is not compulsory. Go away and hold your meeting with your candidate, wherever you choose. And let those who want to listen to me, listen to me. At the end of 5 days, there was no more noise in Mount Kenya. Candidates were able to walk free. Sometimes we become so cowardly to meet opposition, even insults. Answer that person even on social media, calmly. And keep on to your lane. You will find others who will help you push back. Let us have the courage of our conviction. If you are convinced, let it be. You may not have to go and fight the masses like I had to and endure shouting from the masses, but you can do with your keyboard. And you can even tell a colleague who is on the same forum to help you. That is what we normally do, so that you are more voices. Let us encourage one another. Are you ready to give up on your life, on your space? Because it's about our lives. A country is not like a wardrobe. You are out here. Is your entire family out here? Are all your friends out here? No. You remain connected to Kenya, whatever you do. Let us fight for our space. I'm fighting for my space. I should be retired, enjoying retirement. But I want to see a better atmosphere for my children to raise their children and for my grandchildren. And my children are people of the age of my children. Anybody who can be my child is my child. Any Kenyan who can be my grandchild is my grandchild. We have a common fate. We are the majority. People of goodwill are always the majority. Let us rise up for our space. Let us step up.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And you are still very young, Honorable Martha. At whatever age, we have a president here in America who is way older than you. So, amen, so you can do it. We're gonna do some gender balances here. The last session we had no lady. So let me start with a lady. And we're also gonna go to the back.
My question is about healthcare. It's a political question because politics determine our healthcare. Healthcare has gotten to be so bad in our country. We have personal stories of how even like my mom and people we know have been affected. How will the next government, which I hope you'll be the president, how are you gonna hold practitioners, doctors, and hospitals accountable for what they do like we do here?
Okay, well, let's go to the back. Yes, go ahead and ask.
Thank you. My name is Dana Korir, and I have a question for the Honorable. So happy that your book is out. I found it at Amazon, and I'm happy that you said if you want to see the other side of you, find you in the book. And I'm glad I've seen a part. So mine, for one, is not a political question. It's actually a question in the book. You wrote about coming from the village to going towards the city and how you are trepidatious and you are happy that your father was there to take you to school and you ended up in Nairobi school and you gave your journey basically. And my question to you is more towards gender equality. A couple of days ago, we heard about what happened in Buterere. Is that it? Buterere, sorry. Buterere, add an area at the end. Buterere girls, right? And it's still ongoing, and it's the topic right now. My question to you, based on what you have said in terms of where you are today, your father thought you should be a teacher, but he still supported you to be a lawyer. Where are the girls that are being supported to be the next Martha Karuas? Where are we seeing them being mentored into being the next so that we can see balanced governments, that we can see balanced positions, that we can see balance in all those areas where it's not you just look and girls don't see, young girls don't see those who look like them or aspire to be them. What is your thoughts around building those that girls can be able to look up and one day say, I saw a Martha Karua standing and I'm standing because I'm the next?
Thank you. Thank you, Martha.
Let's keep our
Diana.
questions short, please. Let's keep them short.
My name is Samuel Ndogo. Mine is election process. Does the Constitution of Kenya require to have a national tallying station? Because election is done at the polling station and is manual, just like here. But there's a process of transmitting from the polling station to Nairobi. That's what the problem lies. Is there a requirement to have a national tallying station? Or election can just be announced at the polling station?
Okay.
Thank you.
One more, and then she can answer.
Okay. Hello?
Mother, yeah, you told us that by 2027, you guys will have found a compromise candidate. But when we look at the people who are on the scene right now, I would love to see you as president, no question about that. But a lot of the people who are on the scene right now, basically it's people who have been there all along. And we saw from the Gen Z protests that it's about time to find a way of bringing them in. What's your strategy to bring them in and not just have the same leaders and just having, oh yeah, we'll lead you, but giving them a seat at the table. And then closely related to that is when you see Raila telling he has one very disappointing supporter, but at the same time, when Raila went to clean Ruto, and two guys also cleaning the Gachaguas or whoever comes from, whoever falls out with Ruto and crosses over to your side, and two guys also doing exactly what Raila is doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can go ahead and answer. Thank you, Mheshimiwa.
I'll start with that juicy one. It cannot, by the remotest imagination, be said to be the same. Gachagua joining the opposition with Raila joining Ruto and refusing to do it formally. I've already said it is unconstitutional because the law has a provision about clear drawn lines of the majority party and the minority party. Already, KK is illegally holding positions of majority. Minority, which is opposition in a presidential system, should be held. The watchdog committees, public accounts, there are 3 of them, public investments, 3 committees, total 6 committees should be in the hands of opposition. So when Raila sits, ODM sits on them, and their members are in government, they are supposed to audit Opio Wandai, energy, or Paranya, planning. They are supposed to audit Joho, mining, to audit Beatrice, East Africa. How will they audit them? What space is Gachagua missing by being a strong voice to oppose Ruto? He has no office he's holding. The members following him from UDA have even been removed from their committees in parliament. There is no parallel, but there can be a concern that the group we are showing as we stand, you may wonder, are we going to be any different? And that will come depending on our choices when it comes to who is the flag bearer. If you remember, because I can see you were an adult then, 2002. If you remember the National Rainbow Coalition, which brought in Kibaki, when Raila walked out of KANU, he brought with him such people as William Ntimama, George Saitoti, Kamodo. He brought Kalonzo, and many others, some of them who had been very vile critics of multi-party democracy. We never stopped to ask, and who are you?
Our vehicle was stuck in the mud. They helped to push it out, and we won. The optics gave people the relief and the confidence that this time we shall be able to out Kanu. There are people who are voting for Kanu out of fear. Even now, there are people who remain in KK purely out of fear of reprisal. When we show a significant force, we give those weak people the power to come out. But as Kenyans, because I will not choose myself as a candidate. As Kenyans, we have to be very careful how we pick. One, we commit to be guided by the Constitution. I called it the operational manual. Once we commit to that, as a people, then how we elect, and not just the president or the 7 position, matters. We either can have more of the same or we can have a different. But if you form a political party and say, unless if you have a certificate of good conduct, don't come, you shall not attract membership. But you can have a criteria for who becomes a leader, who becomes a candidate. And I will tell you this of my colleagues in the opposition, including my brother Gachagua, that we have committed to be guided by Article 10, which are the national principles and values of governance. It is up to each one of us to demonstrate that we embrace them. I cannot give, even in Christendom, I cannot give you a testimony. I can only give mine. So let each one of us give their own testimony and let you, the people, be the judge. Yeah. Now, Gogi, you asked about the counting of votes, elections. I don't know whether I got your name correctly. Whether the Constitution allows, provides that election counting is done at the polling station, counting and announcement. You are correct. And the minor KI case also confirmed that. Last elections, Chebukati illegally forbid elections, presidential elections, to be announced at the polling station, yani wahesabu wafiche. All right? Ndivyo akifika Nairobi afanye vile anataka nazo. We were wrong, the media was wrong. The Constitution clearly says transparent, accountable, verifiable. So once it is counted at the polling station, the National Tallying Center cannot count again. Only a court order can make another counting. So that vote must be announced to the world at the polling station. That way, as Kenyans, we shall aggregate and announce the president before the IEBC. And that's what they did in Senegal. I observed Senegal in January. By 10 o'clock, there was a carnival on the streets. Because Senegal, like Kenya, a polling station has no more than 700 voters. Some have as low as 3. Counting cannot take more than 2 hours. So by 10 o'clock, the carnival that was in Dakar, the government tried to give wobbly statements like there can be a runoff. They were overrun by the people countrywide celebrations until the candidate of the government called Jumae Faye to congratulate him. The same way Uhuru conceded in 2002. Yeah, so we can overrun and we must disobey unlawful orders. A presiding officer, even if he doesn't announce, you know, once it is signed by the agent, they also get a copy. The media and everybody, and if the media is hiding social media, we must have our own parallel. And we shall announce polling station by polling station. If you wait for manipulation. Imagine 2002, when Kibaki came in, the 2010 Constitution was not there. But we counted, we waited at the polling station, and each polling station announced. Do you remember that, 2002? We did not wait for Kivuito. In fact, I remember telling Kivuito, that if he does not give us that certificate, because he was withholding, it was at City Hall, not KICC, tulimwambia, within an hour we are going to make you irrelevant. Because we were going to announce as a party, as NARC. So he actually hurried and took the certificate to Kibaki. We were just going to declare ourselves the winner. Because what more time are you going to give people? So as Kenyans, we must have a parallel tarring process. Diana, you asked about gender equality, the issue of Butere girls and what we are doing about mentorship. May I tell you that I'm very proud of Butere girls and of our children in secondary schools because they stood in solidarity. Whether guided by their teachers or their own protest, it doesn't matter. They spoke. And governments and society are laughed at through satire. If you cannot stand satire, change your ways. The current administration has been killing young people just because they laughed at them on social media. In fact, Ruto was heard to say that people continue putting him in coffins, he will put them in a real coffin. And he has put several in a real coffin. What kind of parents puts children in a coffin just because they were either rude or laughed at you? Those children are expressing their thoughts. It's irritating, but they have a reason. You have refused to hear them. Even your own child can be very mean to you when you are mean to them. So listen. Let us learn to listen, to appreciate satire. The same Malala had done a play the other year, the other election. Echoes of? No, drums of... it was drums of what? Shackles of Doom. That one now was against Uhuru's administration and supportive of Ruto. Why analia kwa nini? Kwa nini alie kwa sauti kubwa namna hiyo? Because of echoes of war. Why don't you change what you are doing? And if Malala was useful to him that time, how come he pushed him off? His culture of use and dump, watch up, aipate. And if you're asking about mentorship, the book you hold, my dear, is part of the mentorship. By people reading that story, we mentor by sharing, and sometimes by just the way we carry ourselves. So that you'll find a person you've never met, a child in school saying, I want to be like so-and-so. So I do hope day by day that I mentor. And I know as a human being, there are times you do something that is not worth emulating. And I hope that I'll do more things that can be emulated. But we are also considering in the Martha Karua Foundation to have formal mentorship at a certain period every year where it can be both online and physical. I too was mentored by the society around me, by family and friends. We have a duty to society to continue mentoring. And I want to thank you for that question. I am very, very grateful. In the Gen Z protests, for the first time, we saw young women come out in large numbers, not just as demonstrators, as leaders. You saw them. You saw them in the media and everywhere. We are very proud of them. And I know that the stage has many Martha Karuas, and some are showing the promise of even being stronger than we are. And a parent is proud to have produced a stronger team than they were. And I am seeing that on the Kenyan stage, there are many powerful, more powerful Martha Karuas and women leaders coming up. Let's nurture that. Finally, the Shah Chief, healthcare. PLP believes not only in the rule of law and our constitution, but in Article 43. We are social democrats. And social democrats and Article 43 of the Constitution, our economic outlook is clear. That is a social market economy. It cannot be capitalism without end. Social market means you must reach out for the vulnerable and provide the basic needs that give meaning to the right to life. Education, health, food, shelter, etc., etc. We would really emphasize on those things. And healthcare, I've always said since 2012, inspired by Cuba, a country without much money, but with a lot of resolve. Healthcare must be universal, and it must be from the cradle when you are born to the grave. That is the PLP healthcare policy, holding professionals accountable, not just healthcare, lawyers, accountants, everybody. Because what goes wrong in a country, it means professionals have let their country down. It's not just about Ruto and his administration. We blame them because that's where the leadership is. Corruption in the hospital, it means the doctors have succumbed. Corruption in the courts, the legal profession has succumbed. Buildings collapsing, it's the architects and other people in the building industry. We must hold everybody accountable by strict enforcement of the law. What makes this country different from ours is the enforcement. It is very expensive, personally, for anybody to walk away without paying or to snatch somebody else's bag. I saw in the airport that people coming to meet us could come to the baggage claim. I was telling pastor, anajua kama ni nyumbani, watu wataingia wachukue masanduku yote na kwenda without caring whether they are caught or not. And even the employees of the airport, watachukua na waseme sini ili watu mulituma hapa ndio wamechukua. It's because there is no enforcement. That's not who we are as Africans. But the system is so broken that everything goes. So let us enforce our laws, and I know together, because our country has resources, we shall make a country better than any other. These highways you are driving on, in some of the states, the team of professionals doing it includes your own professionals. You are in the aircraft making industry. You are in the federal system. You are making this country work with your professionalism. We have enough professionals in Kenya, inside Kenya and out here in the diaspora to make Kenya work. Asanteni.
Asante sana mheshimiwa.